Josh Hasten here, Israel Uncensored on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. It is July the 20th, 2020, the 28th of Tammuz, 5780, coming to you from Jerusalem. Hope you're doing well in your part of the world with the coronavirus pandemic and everything else affiliated with coronavirus. We're going to talk about that later on in the show, and of course all the other news in the Middle East. And those of you watching on Facebook, this segment of the show, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. My guest is on the line here via Zoom, Jodi Samuels. She just came out with a new book called Chutzpah, Wisdom and Wine, The Journey of an Unstoppable Woman. She lives in Jerusalem, originally from Johannesburg, with a stopover in Manhattan. Jodi Samuels' mission is to change the world one small, unique step at a time. An entrepreneur, international speaker, special needs advocate, supermom, and much, much more. Jodi, it's an honor to have you on the show. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
How are you managing, first of all, during these crazy coronavirus times here? You're in Jerusalem, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm someone who travels about 180 days a year, so I don't think I've ever spent this long in one country, one place. So going a little crazy, but happy to be in Israel.
Yeah, even with our numbers, I think it's good to be here. I know it's crazy and things are not looking good right now, but we're going to be positive, and something positive out of Corona is your new book, Chutzpah, Wisdom and Wine. Tell us just, if you can, briefly about this new book.
So this book is a long journey of mine. I've been writing a blog for many years. I lead a little bit of a maybe unusual life for someone who's modern Orthodox, between traveling to 87 countries, traveling with my kids on a budget, off the beaten track, living in so many places besides New York. By the time I got to Israel, I'd lived in like 29 apartments in 9 cities in 5 countries, and had a special needs child. I have thousands of guests in my house, and always on the go and always doing things. So people have been saying, write a book, write a book. So it took a long time to actually get from the point of writing blogs and sitting down and writing a book. But the last year, someone who was a very important mentor to me passed away. And the week of her funeral, I had the opportunity I'd been at her funeral, and I took a group to Morocco, to Marrakesh. And we were there for Shabbat, and you were in this like crazy scenario of Shabbat dinner in someone's home with all these different groups. So we had my group, who was this mixed group. Some were religious, some weren't, some with their phones and jeans, others more religious. And there were a group of 30 Alexander Hasidim from Lakewood in New Jersey, who had come for someone's 50th birthday party. And I got up to make a l'chaim, and I'm probably not the usual person who makes a l'chaim in front of those people. And I started telling a little bit about my story, and I saw 30 men staring at me, and they came to me afterwards and they were like, wow, we never thought we'd come to like Marrakesh and be so inspired. This was the most inspirational story we've ever heard. And I walked out of there and I was like, you know what, I have a message. And this was like a sign, I have to share this message. So that week I made the decision and actually took the content and started the book.
So tell me, that's an amazing story, first of all, but what is that message? If you could summarize that one message to the audience here today, what would you say it is?
So my message is go be unstoppable. And what does that mean? At the end of the day, we're all given cards in life, and it's how we deal with those cards that we're dealt. And the whole message in this book is about taking the cards you're dealt, deal with them. Life isn't perfect, but it can still be wonderful, and go be unstoppable. It doesn't matter what life brings you.
That's definitely a great message. And one of the things that you've done is you founded something called the Jewish International Connection. If you can't describe exactly what that is, it an organization? Is it a movement, a program? Explain exactly what is the Jewish International Connection.
My husband, as I said, my husband and I traveled all around the world, and we're the true definition of wandering Jews. And we arrived in New York City in 2000 after having lived in South Africa and a bit in Israel and Australia and New Zealand and England. And I arrived in New York City And someone asked me if I would host. I'd been there exactly 3 weeks, and they knew I hosted big meals for singles. And they asked me if I'd host a meal for Columbia University students. It was Rosh Hashanah. And he said, there's all these people, internationals, who don't have anywhere to go. And I landed up having 36 people from 30 countries 3 weeks after I arrived. And I had this epiphany that foreign Jews moving to a new city need a Jewish home away from home. And that was the initial idea. So we formed an organization that at least until March, pre-corona, in New York City, we were having about 10,000 people a year through events. Wow. We're running about 200 events a year there. We have groups for younger singles, older singles, married couples. And the idea is to give people an opportunity to connect to Jewish life, to have opportunities to be inspired in the Jewish world, and then connect them to community. And then 5 years ago, when we moved to Israel, we launched within 2 weeks of being in Israel. We had started running programs in Jerusalem, and we now have Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and New York under our wing.
Wow, amazing. At the same time, you are a known passionate advocate for children with special needs. If you can't talk about your work in that field as well.
Yeah, so in 2008, we were this like perfect couple by most people's standards. We were like this couple that were having this perfect life, living in Manhattan, hosting guests, traveling, 2 beautiful older children. And my daughter was born. I did not know she had Down syndrome. And we found out the news in the hospital. And part of that's go be unstoppable. Within half an hour, I decided, you know what? This is the cards I've been dealt, but my life's not going to change. And we continued. And I remember you walk out of the hospital and you have these tags on your hand where they check your security to make sure like you match the baby. And my husband said to me, they should have just branded the word activist on our forehead as we were walking out. And he didn't realize how prophetic those words would be. And soon we found out when my daughter was 2 years old and trying to get her into a Jewish day school, the same one her siblings attended. And the answer was like, no, based on her diagnosis. And at that moment, I realized that nobody, like people in my inner circle, didn't even understand the challenges. They didn't know the challenges. And I realized that if there was going to be change, it was going to be because of me, because somebody took a stand and no one else was going to take the stand for us. It was going to be me. And from that, I launched a series of like media initiatives, and I got the media involved. I ran community forums. I started a Facebook page. And one of the things that I do a lot is speak to professional groups, whether it's like rabbinic interns, or it could be medical students studying genetics. It could be high school students, but people who are going to go out there and be facing community and dealing with people with a variety of challenges and sharing a message.
Wow, amazing, truly amazing. And let me switch gears here on you with the title of your book, Chutzpah, Wisdom, and Wine. How does the wine fit into all of this? Are you a passionate wine drinker, a connoisseur? Is wine what keeps you going? No judgment at all. But I mean, you did put that into the title of your book. You fit in the wine part. I mean, how does that all come together with wine?
Look, the reality is I love wine. I wouldn't call myself a connoisseur, but I'm definitely a passionate consumer of wine. When I made Aliyah, my mantra became, God, give me coffee to deal with the things I can and wine to deal with the things I cannot. And
I get it. Yeah.
I joke about it, but actually, I think that part of my life philosophy is very much work hard and play hard. Anybody who knows me knows that I sleep 4 hours a night. Wow. I'm always on the go. I'm always working, but I take time out and I party in between. And I really think that that is what life is supposed to be. Just like if you didn't have nighttime, you wouldn't appreciate daytime, and winter helps you appreciate summer. I really, really believe that you take time out and you chill and you enjoy life, and it helps you to appreciate everything else. So it's, on one hand, it's part of my like reality, wine, and on the other side, it's like very much a philosophical approach to life that I believe in. Enjoy life.
I totally subscribe to that. For me, it's whiskey, not wine. But I totally hear where you're coming from. Jodi Samuels, the new author of the book Chutzpah, Wisdom and Wine: The Journey of an Unstoppable Woman. It does sound like you are truly an unstoppable woman. Where can people get the book? Most importantly, how can we get a copy?
So if you're in Israel, Jodi's Voice, which is my website, info@Jodi's Voice. And if you send an email there, we'll give you instructions for ordering a book. If you would like to get a book on Amazon, it's on Amazon. And if you have access to an e-device that you can read, it does not have to be a Kindle. You can read on the Amazon eBooks on multiple devices. You can also download it there.
And if anybody out there did not catch any of that, you can always get in touch with me. I'm happy to put you in touch with Jodi, and make sure you get your copy of her brand new book, Chutzpah, Wisdom and Wine. Jodi, I want to thank you for taking the time out this morning, being with us here on my show, Israel Uncensored, on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. Much success, much health during these crazy times. Wine, thanks. Wine definitely helps during the corona, I know, or whiskey or whatever it is. But congratulations. It sounds like an amazing accomplishment. Looking forward to reading the book, and all the best to you and your family.
Thank you. Stay well.
Stay well. We're going to take a break right now, turn off the Facebook Live, and come back with the second half of the show with all the news from Israel and the Middle East. Talk about everything going on corona-related, and with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Politics, news, everything going on here. And we're going to finish the show today with some really positive news. So you're going to want to hang out with that. For that, my name is Josh Hasten. This is Israel Uncensored on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com. We're going to take a short break. Thanks again to Binyamin Bresky for all the work he does in getting these Zoom/Facebook Live, whatever you want to call them, broadcasts up on the internet. So thanks so much, Ben. We're going to take a short break. Come right back.
Hey everybody, this is Jeremy Gimpel. Have you heard about the Land of Israel Fellowship? We started about 1 month ago, and people from all over the world, 24 countries, have joined. We meet live every Sunday, and the video session is recorded and then broadcast to all the members. And it's an exclusive group. It's a group that's focused on learning. We're focused on praying together. We're focused on growing together. And it has been one of the biggest blessings in my life. And we have people from New Zealand to Australia, Alaska, Hawaii, Hong Kong, Jews, Christians. We have a Buddhist. We have one Muslim that's joined. We have people from so many different backgrounds, languages, and cultures. And we are literally creating a virtual house of prayer for all nations. And it is truly marvelous. And so if you want more information about that, please visit www.thelandofisrael.com/fellowship. And I would love to see you next Sunday.
And we are back. Josh Hasten here, Israel Uncensored on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com for Monday, the 20th of July, 2020, the 28th of Tammuz 5780, coming to you this Monday morning from Jerusalem, the eternal capital of the Jewish people. Let's get to the news now. And today's Jerusalem Post has published a report on the coronavirus. The report here indicates where people were infected, the site of infection. And where is the top site? Where would you think it is? No, not the restaurants, not the pools, not social gatherings, but at home. At home. 67% of those infected between the weeks of between July 10th and 16th, where 7,998 people were infected with the virus, were infected at home, 67%. So here we had this campaign for months encouraging people to stay home, but maybe staying home isn't the best anymore. Maybe it's better to be outside in nature, away from people. Maybe it's better to be at the beach, away from people, or at a swimming pool where the chlorine, from what I understand, kills the virus. Again, I'm not encouraging anyone to go out and disobey the rules and be in big groups. Of course, you have to wear your masks or whatnot. But it's kind of ironic that until now we're talking about staying home, where people are getting sick at home. Of course, the reason is somebody who has the virus is sent home, and then infects the rest of his or her family. And that policy is absolutely ridiculous. And that is why, in my opinion, I think that we should be listening to Naftali Bennett, former defense minister, who is now in the opposition with the Amina party. But I think he should be running the show when it comes to Corona. He has a 15-point plan. We mentioned it, I believe, on the show, I think 2 weeks ago. He came out with his plan. He's the only one that I see who has an actual plan on paper, which makes sense. And I know Israel has started reopening some of those coronavirus hotels or whatnot, but definitely not enough of them are open. It's not happening fast enough. And I really think the politicians need to put politics aside, egos aside, and put Naftali Bennett, whether you agree or disagree with all his other positions when it comes to Judea and Samaria or anything else. I think it's time to put Naftali Bennett in charge. I know they're looking for a czar, a corona czar, and that decision is taking time while more and more people are getting infected each and every day. Stop what you're doing. My advice to the Israeli government, stop what you're doing. Stop procrastinating. Stop with the bureaucracy. Put one person in charge, Naftali Bennett. Let him run the show. I think he is the best person suited for the job. That's my opinion. This is some scary news here reported by the J-Post yesterday. A doctor from Sheba Medical Center in Ramat Gan has been confirmed as being infected with the coronavirus 3 months after she recovered from the virus. This according to Channel 13. The doctor suffered from a fever, cough, muscle pain when she tested positive in April, recovered and tested negative for the virus in May and June. But unfortunately, earlier this month, the doctor came in contact with a confirmed patient and subsequently tested positive for the virus again. This, folks, is extremely scary. If, in fact, people after only 3 months, if the antibodies are only good for only 3 months, and then you can get infected again, this is really, really scary stuff. And, I don't know. Once we do have a vaccine, does that mean we're going to be, taking the vaccine every 3 months? I don't know what the situation is going to be, but we really, really need some help with this. A vaccine that will be effective, which will be long-lasting, and it does not look good right now, folks. Based on my understanding, my very limited medical understanding of the situation. But please God, we will have a solution very soon. So I'm still hopeful that it is going to be one of the Israeli companies that comes up with the most effective virus. And those BDSers will have to make a decision whether they use the Israeli virus or not. Hopefully it will be a matter of maybe months and not years with this insane coronavirus reality where the numbers here in Israel, and I know around the world, keep going up and up. Switching gears here, the Prime Minister of Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu, his criminal trial for bribery and breach of public trust will begin in January 2021. There was another court session on Sunday morning, and it was decided that is when the next stage of the trial will take place. According to the J-Post, the trial schedule could have a huge impact on Netanyahu's transfer of power to Blue and White's Benny Gantz in November 2021, as well as what Netanyahu's status will be after the transfer. Again, this is a huge, long, bureaucratic process and a court case, and this is going to be going on for months and years. The trial of Prime Minister Netanyahu. I saw a pretty crazy video yesterday, switching gears, of what it was described, I think, on the Jewish press, what looked like a scene out of Fauda, where special IDF forces went into a village under the Palestinian Authority and arrested 3 would-be terrorists. They were planning to carry out a drive-by shooting, hurl explosives at a community in the Binyamin area, and the soldiers, the brave IDF soldiers, went in there disguised as, I think, delivery men, and arrested these 3 terrorists. I don't know if the video is technically for publication on Israeli media. The Arab media put it out, so I cannot be too sure about that, if it's kosher, so to speak, for Israel to publish the video, but I did see it via an Arab news site. IDF taking care of business, preventing a terror attack, and it happens, folks, each and every night, whether you realize it or not. The IDF is working 24/7 under the cover of darkness in the middle of the day, whenever it is. They are on guard 24/7. They are carrying out these operations each and every day. Imagine, God forbid, if there was a Palestinian state, so-called, and the IDF did not have free access to all of these villages. That's what a PA state would be. That is the biggest threat of a PA state, is the IDF would not be able to go out and carry out these anti-terror operations. And here we are with about 95% of terror attacks being thwarted thanks to the IDF and the other security forces. And that number would go way down, God forbid, if we created another state between the river and the sea. It would be a terrible and huge mistake. Let's not go down that path. I know that the talk of annexation, so-called, I call it sovereignty, has been pushed off. And that's an important point, by the way, to refer to it as sovereignty, because you don't annex what's already yours. But we'll see where that goes. But it would be a huge, huge mistake to establish a PA state. Anti-Semitism running wild in the U.S. and throughout the world, really. But thank you, a big thank you, should go out to Charles Barkley, Hall of Fame NBA basketball star, along with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for standing up for the Jewish people, calling out anti-Semitism for what it is. This reported by NBC Sports. All-time 76ers great Charles Barkley has called out Eagles wide receiver Deshaun Jackson and other prominent celebrities for recent anti-Semitic comments and actions. Barkley, in a video, go check out this video, folks, tweeted out by NBA on TNT, criticized Deshaun Jackson, who posted messages on social media earlier this month, citing a quote he thought was from Hitler. And then you had others who came to his defense. You had Steven Jackson, no relation, former NBA player, defending Deshaun Jackson, TV personality Nick Cannon, who was fired for anti-Semitic comments, and rapper and filmmaker Ice Cube, also with these anti-Semitic comments or defending anti-Semitic comments of others. Ice Cube, he's out of control with his anti-Semitism. He even blasted Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for an essay which Jabbar wrote in The Hollywood Reporter, defending the Jewish people and calling out anti-Semitism. So here you have Ice Cube speaking out against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But thank you, Sir Charles Barkley, for coming out against all of these individuals who have decided to use this opportunity when instead of focusing on rights for African Americans, they've decided to go on a anti-Semitic tirade against the Jews and blame the Jews for all types of things, slavery and for lack of opportunities for the African American communities, using the Jew as a scapegoat. I appreciate Sir Charles Barkley, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and any other celebrities or sports figures, of course Julian Edelman, standing up against anti-Semitism. So thank you very much to those celebs, those athletes. Finishing the show with some positive news here. The J-Post reports that cancer patients are being given a head start on beating the disease thanks to a new diagnostic test that can detect the presence of cancer cells within hours rather than the weeks it currently takes. Of course, this is an Israeli initiative, an Israeli invention, so to speak, a research team from the Zemin Institute for Engineering Solutions, Advancing Better Lives, and Tel Aviv University. They have developed a new tool based on a genetic sequencing device which can detect cancer cells in the abdominal cavity in real time. Currently, when a tumor is removed, there are often undetected cancer cells left within the abdomen, which can spread to other parts of the body if not tackled with chemotherapy. Standard cancer cell detection tests take weeks to produce a result, drastically increasing the risk that cancer may spread during the interim. But we have a solution which produces a result within hours, eliminating that window of risk. Thank you very much to the Zamin Institute for Engineering Solutions, Advancing Better Lives at Tel Aviv University. BDS haters out there, you're going to have to use our technology, our medical technology, all of our technology. So you might want to get over your hate of Israel and realize the contributions that Israel and the Jewish people are making in this world. You might have to, I'm telling you, especially when it comes to Corona. But in this case, thank God, making great headway in the fight against cancer. It's all happening here in the state of Israel. Big shout out to Benjamin Bresky, engineer extraordinaire. Tabitha Epstein for everything she does behind the scenes here at the network. My name is Josh Hasten. For the 20th of July, 2020, 20th of Tammuz, 5780. Remember, you can get in touch with me during the week, Josh at thelandofisrael.com, on Facebook, Joshua Hasten, or Josh Hasten, Israel Advocacy and Journalism. Check out all my latest articles, particularly the ones on the JNS news site. I have them all posted on my Facebook page. I'm also on Twitter at Josh Hasten and on Instagram as well. Most importantly, between now and when we speak again, please God, next Monday, everyone out there in the wonderful world of ours, be safe. Shalom, shalom from a beautiful day here in Jerusalem, Israel, the eternal capital of the Jewish people. Have a great week, everybody.
This week on Rejuvenation with Eve Harrow, an exclusive interview with Israel's newest member of Knesset, Michal Kotler-Wunsch.
There are tens of thousands of Jews throughout the world. It doesn't matter for what reason. They are interested at this point in making Aliyah. And so another part of my own personal story as it affects my purpose or my role is to facilitate that.
That's Rejuvenation with Eve Harrow, every Tuesday on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com.